Aho, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow TikTok enjoyers. Welcome to episode 41 of the Dark Dimension TikTok series. So, oh boy, oh me, oh my, do we have a little bit of an update for everyone. So, this is big news Morgan's right now. This is extremely big news, and it has nothing to do with the TikTok. It has more to do with me. Now, as everyone knows, I like to cover things on this series, Dark Dimension TikToks, depressing TikToks, and TikToks that I think show the reality of things. And as also people might know, I'm almost 2 months behind. Now, I am recording this on November 10th. It's not going to come out anywhere near November 10th. And that's why I have a decent amount of confidence saying this. Whenever this does come out, which might be at least a month or so after because I record these ahead of time. But the big news, Morgans, is that I, as of November 10th, have finally become a free man. Yes, that's right. I no longer am employed. I'm free. So I'm free from the yoke of work. I'm no longer a slave. And now I'm going to have a lot more free time on my hands. Whether that's going to mean we'll finally catch up to the TikToks, I don't know. I'm sort of going a little mentally crazy now that I have no more shackles on me, now that I know I'm going to need to go back eventually, and I'm going to need money, because as you might tell from this series, money makes the world go round. But only for the rich, for the poor it keeps them indentured. But anyway, hopefully that means good things for us going forward. This is literally first day I am unemployed, so I'm still getting my bearings. But anyway, that's just the big news Morgan's little intro I want to add into the normal stuff. So what's the normal stuff, you might add or ask? Well, I'd like to add that the normal stuff, as per usual, because we're up to episode 41 of this nonsense, is me going over videos from TikTok that I find, because this is all the algorithm recommends me now, because they know I like it, because I send it to myself, about stuff that sucks, about how much the world is terrible. Now, that's not to say the world is fully evil, but a lot of people have a wrong view of it. This is where a lot of the world is messed up, and I think it's getting more messed up in a lot of different ways. Economically, socially, culturally, you fucking name it. I think we are living in the dark dimension, and other people don't think so. And I like to make this series to show them, because as much good as there is in the world, and there is good, there's a lot more bad, and hopefully I can open people's eyes to it, and number one, prove that I'm right, and number two, show them the truth so that things can change for the better. But who knows if that'll actually help him, because as we can see, there's a lot of inaction in our world. Even when we know the truth, there's inaction. Who knows why? But anyway, I usually like to eat food as well while I do these, and believe it or not, this time as well I have food with me. Now, I just came from my grandmammy's house. Not the grandmammy I live with, the other grandmammy, because I have two, as does everyone. So, unless you're inbred, but if that's the case, then you're living in your own dark dimension, and I feel bad for you. But unless you're inbred, you should have two grandmammies, and I went to my other one's house, and she fed me extremely, and I'm very full. So even though I have food near me, in case I get peckish, because we all know these go for a while, it's probably just going to sit there and chillax. So what do I have on the menu for today's TikTok viewing? I have some white rice, white parboiled rice that I made like 3 days ago at this point, so I kind of got to eat that quick. And then I have some curry. I have some barbecue chicken curry with some um I forgot what else it's called, but it's like dough stuff that's Indian and it's very good. So yeah, that's going to be here. It's going to be attacking and assaulting my nose, but for you guys and gals, because I know this series is oh so popular, you guys won't smell a thing, but you might hear me eating it if I get peckish, like I said. But anyway, aside from that, let's hope now going forward. Well, for this session alone, let's hope I can actually do it for a while, because I'm recording this at the crack of midnight. So I'm going to probably get very tired. I still am used to work taking away my sleep, but hopefully that should change soon. So hopefully this doesn't put me too much to sleep, because by the end of these, I'm usually halfway to fucking La La Land. I'm near sleepy zone. But hopefully that won't happen today. And then hopefully going forward, I can not only do a lot, but I could do them more frequently. Not that I'm going to release them any more frequently, but hopefully I could do them more frequently so I can catch up on the entire backlog. And hopefully I won't be on TikTok more, but we'll see. But anyway, Now that we've hit the 5-minute mark and the 5-minute intro is done, let's get right to it. Let's do it.
He states that it's not medically necessary
Oh, look at this
treatment.
insurance. Insurance. I got something to say about insurance, mind you. Excuse me. My God,
That
we're
was
already
an
starting.
internal phone call between two United Healthcare workers.
United Healthcare. Let me just say something about United Healthcare here. United Healthcare, one of the biggest healthcare providers. I don't know if it's just in the U.S. I feel like it's going to be anywhere ever, but maybe they're not Mr. Worldwide yet. But in the US, insurance works so backwards. If you've seen some of the other videos I've posted, which again, if you're on episode 41, I don't know how you got here randomly, but maybe you did. But dude, insurance in the United States is so fucking evil. Insurance in the United States as well as some other parts in the world, but not many, is so backwards, it's so evil. And I always like to say the trifecta. The trifecta of costs an American will face that will carry with them for life, which is making the new norm of people are just learning to live with debt, or most people are. The new norm is this: you're going to have a mortgage, you're going to have student loans, and this last one is sort of a maybe. If you're lucky, you won't have this, but who's lucky nowadays? The last one is medical bills. Those are the three costs you will carry throughout your life, I feel like. But anyway, let's keep going. Insurance is fucking evil, and I got an anecdotal story to say. Let's keep going.
They're laughing about denying someone's insurance claim. We're ProPublica, a nonprofit newsroom, and we investigated. The person they're laughing about is Chris McNaughton. He was in college when he was diagnosed.
You could see, I don't know what he was diagnosed with. Oh, and I forgot to say the other little spiel in the beginning. So I guess I'll shoehorn it in now. I've said about 99% of what I'm going to say before. I'm just going to repeat it. Because the dark dimension is what it is. It doesn't much change. It's just dark and depressing. So a lot of the stuff I'm saying, like I said, I'm going to repeat from my previous videos. Because it's all the same fucking themes. And number 2, take everything with a grain of salt. Because we don't know what's true and what's not on the internet. And number 3, these are like the 3 cardinal warnings I have to give. And number 3, we're so far behind that I barely remember what I sent myself. So it's not like I'm cheating when I'm going to say what this guy has. It's not like I remember when I first saw this. And some of the videos I send myself, I already tell they're Dark Dimension-esque, so I just send them to myself. I don't even watch them. But again, we're like almost 2 months behind, so I don't think it matters. But anyway, this guy already looks like he has problems. His eyes look yellow, so I believe there's either something wrong with his liver, but I don't think it's liver. I think it's his kidneys. I think he has a problem with his kidneys. He's not like filtering stuff. But let's see if I'm right.
With ulcerative colitis, a chronic autoimmune disease. It took him a really long time to find.
Yeah, look at his eyes. They're yellow.
But when he finally did, United flagged Chris's case as a hide.
And you know what's crazy? His name is Chris. Yeah, well, guess what's my name? You know, as if people don't already know. I'm actually not called Technics channel, despite popular belief. My real name is Chris.
Account. Ultimately, United said it wouldn't pay for his medicine because
of course
it was
they
not
wouldn't
medically
pay.
necessary.
It's not medically necessary. This guy's gonna fucking die.
When I started that treatment, I think I had literally failed every other ulcerative colitis medication. So
crazy.
It would almost seem that
there was no other option.
Was the very definition of medically necessary, and then nothing else had worked.
Oh boy, do I have to say something? Do I have to fucking say something about insurance viewing things? Because this is where they literally just deny logic. This is where insurance in the US is fucking evil.
When United turned down Chris's claim, his medical bills were running nearly $2 million a year.
Bro, and the best part is, I think you could just ignore it, but the worst part is if it gets too big and you ignore it, they might either send loan people to your house or they might try and get the money elsewhere. They might, I don't know, garnish your wages. I don't really know what they could do. Excuse me. And that's one of the biggest overall problems of stuff like this. It's people don't understand their rights and they don't understand the process of what they can and can't do and what the other party can or can't do. Because if you don't know, you can easily get manipulated, abused, and taken advantage of. Because they can scare you into stuff. And this is where you think like, oh, I know what I'm doing, this, and that. You don't know what the law is and they probably know more than you, which is where they can either lie to you, again, manipulate you, coerce you, or just straight up take advantage of the law and maybe pay off the government, or just ignore the law in general and you won't know, so you won't complain. Or you won't complain to the right people. And even if you do, good luck trying to fight United Healthcare. So, there's a lot of things I just messed up, but one of the biggest things is lack of knowledge. And this is one of the reasons why I do this series, is because people have a lack of knowledge of how bad this world is, because only when we know it's bad can we try and fix it to be good. Now, if it's too late for that, who knows? But let's keep seeing what happened to Chris here. My friend Chris. As a fellow Chris, I feel for him.
So Chris did something few people ever do. He sued.
The cojones on this guy. And you know, he's right to sue, but like, so many people would lose this. It's crazy. I bet you one of the only reasons he won is maybe because it got popularity. Because United Healthcare has millions to throw out a court case if they need to. Like, they will throw millions of dollars like it's pennies to them because they make so much money. It's insane. Anyway.
He was able to get his claim filed and question United representatives under oath. He was shocked by what he learned, like that a United doctor had literally cut and pasted denial language from a nurse's notes.
Lovely.
That's under RN recommendation. I usually copy that and paste it if I agree.
But how does he agree? Does he review it?
That doctor said he's done over 10,000 denials for United. And
Oh
he didn't
my
actually look at the medical
God.
records. He just signed his name.
So he literally just said he didn't look at anything. He just stamped it. Get the next one. Like, is that not? First of all, that's evil. Second of all, that should be illegal.
Chris's records revealed another United doctor who actually agreed with Chris's physician was ignored. United had paid for that doctor's opinion, but when the company didn't like what it saw, it buried that report. Chris also got...
What, like, this, the sad part is, if you've been watching this series for a while, right? Like, look at this poor guy. Look at what this guy has to go through. He looks like he's not having a good time, and I wonder fucking why. Like, this is terrible. And then we have to charge this guy who's, like, struggling to live, and he has no other option. $2 million a year? Like, what? Like, it's ridiculous. This is so stupid. But this is where, like, it's just so ridiculous, man.
Emails and audio recordings, like the one at the beginning of this video,
which was disgusting. They laughed at him.
It's hard to feel that they're really worried about your safety.
And guess what? Guess what I bet happened after this, right? After this came out, the United Healthcare workers laughing at his ass. I bet they came out saying, oh no, we really care about our customers. They couldn't give a rat's fucking ass about you. This is where we've seen videos in the past from, you know, other reactions, where there's this guy who makes fun of healthcare stuff, and he mentions United Healthcare. Hopefully we'll see the guy now, remember his name, because he's really funny. I think we actually reacted to one of his things recently, and by recently I mean one of the recent-ish episodes. But, you know, these health insurance companies, the healthcare companies, they don't give a rat's ass about you. They care about how much they can milk you for. And, you know, they'll do anything that makes them look better in the public if it leads to money. This is where they literally change the laws to make stuff worse for us because they're insurance companies, not healthcare companies. They're actually insurance companies that want to make money, which is evil. Money is the root of all evil. You know what? I might name that this episode. Money is the root of all evil, just so I don't forget it. Let's keep going.
When there are emails that are celebrating the fact that your treatment was denied.
Yay, this guy might die.
Paid for by insurance. United said in a statement that the company's guiding concern was always his well-being.
Yeah, bullshit.
We aren't done reporting. If
Good.
you have information about insurance denials you can share, get in touch with us.
Okay, actually, maybe I should get in touch with them, because here's my anecdotal story.
And if you're interested in appealing your own denial, learn how to request your insurance claim file at propublica.org/claimmyfile.
So I actually got to look into this. I'm really glad I saw this first now, because I'm actually dealing with insurance problems myself. So to kind of give a little bit of background, right? I have really poor people's insurance because, believe it or not, I work in New York and I don't make above $50K a year, which is still chump change, but at least you could live off that. And I actually don't make anything because I'm unemployed now. Whoopee. So maybe I could get the actual poor people's insurance. I have the one step up of poor people's insurance, where I barely pay anything and I'm supposed to pay very little in copays. Now, this is where, with this insurance, I go to the doctor. The insurance says my yearly physical is free. And I've asked the insurance multiple times. I've asked the doctors when I went there and before multiple times, will I pay for this very standard yearly physical? No, every time, nope, you don't have to pay anything, right? I go, I do my insurance visit, not my insurance visit, my doctor visit. First of all, I wait 3 hours to see the doctor. The doctor sees me for like 20 fucking minutes, whoop-de-doo. And midway through the session, he leaves because I guess some visitor came in to say hi to him. So he left and he came back. And it was a pretty standard meeting, and I told him, as per usual, I barely sleep. He's like, oh, are you stressed? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, you know, you got to manage that. Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Doctor, man. I didn't know. So, you know, that happened, and then I told him I was sad. and he's like, oh, you have to look at the, life half full. You have to do something you like. He gave me very basic advice, and, I saw a therapist in the past, and it was very bad. The healthcare system, I think, has failed me personally. Granted, I haven't used it that much. If I use it more, maybe it'll succeed, but it's not looking too good. But yeah, so after all this, I go home, and eventually I get 2 bills, not one, but 2 bills for thousands of dollars each. I'm like, what the fuck? So I appeal it. I go back and forth with insurance, and I'm cutting over a lot of details just to have this be quick, because this is supposed to be Dark Dimension TikTok hour, not fucking soapbox opera hour. That's what my stream is for at Twitch TV says Tecnics channel. But anyway, so I argue with the insurance, and eventually they get the numbers down to like $15 and $10 copays, even though it was like thousands of dollars. And they actually charged me extra for saying I was sad. And then I asked them, you guys said this was free. This is supposed to be free. I don't have the money to pay this, right? And then they said, I went back and forth, and then eventually I got a rep to try and explain it to me. I asked for the member handbook. They didn't give it to me. Everything on the site is outdated, and everything on my login says I pay $0. Basically, right? After all this, they lied to me, and they said, oh, you're supposed to have a copay. Preventative care is not what you did. I'm like, wait, my yearly annual checkup, my annual visit, my annual physical is not preventive care? And they said no, and I looked it up on Google, and it says, it is, and I told them it is, and they're like, oh, well, where do you see that? I'm like, oh, well, it's just what it is. If you look it up, that is what it is. And they're like, no, you have to show us from the insurance, from the booklet, where it is. Well, I don't have the booklet, so whoop-de-fucking-doo-dah. And then basically I said, is there any way I can further appeal this, further, argue this? And they said multiple times some people would try and call me to get my side of the story, get more details. They never did. And then they said, this is basically our decision. We're not changing this. Argue with the doctor. And now I'm arguing with the doctor, and they're reviewing it, and it's like, okay, what do I even do? So yeah, insurance is great, and it certainly doesn't take advantage of people and bleed them dry for their money, because they literally need to live. So hopefully I'll remember to search up ProPublica / claim my file, but we'll see, because I'm very busy. Despite being unemployed, I'm actually pretty busy, although it's only been one day, so hopefully things will smell. But anyway, wow, what a great first video showing one of my most hated things ever, healthcare insurance. Terrible, terrible thing. Like, it's made by the fucking devil. Anyway, let's keep going. And I love the comments. The comments is just proving how evil this fucking company is. Which I own stock in. If you can't beat them, join them. Anyway, let's go next.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Well, if you don't, you're not alone. If you go to YouTube and search
Just
never
other losers?
have a girlfriend, you'll find hundreds of videos from all kinds of men in their 20s and 30s. They all kind of say the same thing. They've been trying forever to get a girlfriend, and they've repeatedly failed. If you go to
I have a lot of anecdotal stuff about this, too.
comments, you'll find thousands of men agreeing. Now, believe it or not, most men today can relate to that. Over 60% of men in their 20s are single. The number of young men who haven't done the act has skyrocketed to historical levels. So you can laugh at these guys, call them incels, but something big is happening here. No civilization in human history has ever seen this. Now, recently, a bunch of guys were interviewed about this very topic, and here's what one guy said. A lot of men are checking out. We're just tired. We're just tired of being told we don't measure up, either physically or financially.
And think about this, right? Think about this. Physically, I don't know what specifically they mean, but in both aspects, physically, there's stuff you could change, there's stuff you can't change. But it's really hard, because most of the time it's stuff you can't change. Oh, you're too short. Okay, well, you can't really change that. Unless you live in the fucking Baki-verse, and you're Jack Hanma, you can extend your height through surgery, which is actually a real thing, by the way. But, that brings me to my second option, or my second point, rather, and that's financially. Financially, nowadays, from, all the videos I've done, all the reactions I've done, you'll see that even financially, you can't really do shit either. Because a lot of people are financially fucked, and they can't even dig themselves out of the fucking financial debt pit. So how are they going to measure up that way either? So I think on both physically and financial side, most people are just fucked. This is where it's not just about love anymore, it's about all these other things added on top. Which I'm not saying is a good or a bad thing. It is what it is, changing times, but it's just making it a lot harder for guys, man. A lot harder. Right, well, let's keep going.
There are millions of men who completely resonate with that.
Me.
And if you're one of these...
And also, we're fucking tired, man. We're fucking tired for all the bullshit. Life is hard enough already. Dark Dimension's really getting dark, and we just have no patience or no, like, will anymore. Our will is getting beaten down.
Guys, and you have no hope, why even go to work every day? What's the point of earning money? Why pay taxes?
The point is to be able to do what I do. Drink and eat food. Because if we can't do that, we won't complain for much longer. Like, literally, we have to work to live. It really pisses me off. We can't, like, work to thrive. Most of us have to work just to live. And if we don't work, we can't really live an actual life. We'll live in squalor, we'll live in filth, and that's not considered an actual life.
What's the point of any of this? Why not just drop out of society, play video games all day, and talk to an AI?
That's me.
Well, that's actually starting to happen. In America, 7 million men have completely dropped out of the workforce. They just stopped working, and they're not looking for work. And honestly, can you...
That's me. Legit, I don't know when I'm going to go back to work, but not for a while.
really blame them?
I'm burnt out.
This is only going to get worse, and yet no one cares.
No one cares until it affects them.
One side says men are privileged and sexist.
Yeah, okay. Well, the sexist part is definitely true, but...
The other side worships corporations. One side calls you a loser if you haven't lost your V-card by age 20.
Well, I'm a big loser.
The other side calls you lazy if you don't want to work in a soulless office building for the rest of your life.
Damn, I'm a lazy loser.
This is not viable. More and more young men are going to realize that there's really no point in maintaining the system if...
And the hard part is, we're in such a time where I don't think there's a very good chance in my lifetime, right, that this stuff isn't going to get fixed. The system isn't going to break enough to actually change, and it's just going to get worse before it gets better. And who knows if it's ever going to get better. So if this is all we have to look forward to in our lifetime, not saying it won't fix, but I think the chances are low. And I think in the future it might fix, but who knows at that point. I don't know how things are going to go, and it's not looking good. What is the point? There's no point. Why do everything? It's ridiculous. And this guy's hitting it on the head.
They're just going to die alone. Eventually, there may come a point when these men have had enough. They'll be angry, lonely, alienated, and they'll have nothing left to lose. But if we want to avoid disaster, we need...
And this is one thing Jordan Peterson says, that, like, I believe it's Jordan Peterson, where he's like, oh, society's creating, like, single, excuse me, Jesus Christ. Maybe that's why I'm single. But they're creating single, you know, out of options men who are, like, backed against the corner, who are isolated, who are lonely, and can't get a girlfriend, don't want to be a part of society. And these are dangerous people, because you go off the edge with doing this shit. And this has to do with, you know, chronic loneliness, the new fucking epidemic that's plaguing at least America. It's like, it's loneliness combined with all these other things. You know, the number one suicide thing is not, you know, it's men. Men commit a lot of fucking suicide. But let's keep going. We're almost done.
We need to first recognize that this is even happening. And if we're being honest, there is nothing more important than this.
Yep, because this affects, it's like a backbone thing of society, where it's like, society can have all its problems, but if you don't got water, if you don't got food, and if you don't got people, it's over. It's over. It doesn't matter what else the problem is. If you can't have those, it's done. Like, these are core integral things. Because, again, look at the birth rates in Japan. Look at the birth rates in Korea. Ironically enough, I'm just naming Asian countries, but that's why I know where they're prevalent. But, this is where the birth rate, it's going to affect stuff way later down the line, because it affects how many people are going to enter the workforce as more people are living longer and retiring and leaving. And the main solution to this isn't fixing the core problem of why our birth rate's low. It's because people are unhappy, they can't afford stuff. The solution is, oh, just make people work for longer. Make old people stay in the workforce. And how do you do that? You force them to only be able to live by working. Or nowadays, you just force them to work anyway because they're in permanent debt and they're just trying to pay it off. Like, it's so crazy. It's so disgusting. But, yeah, a lot of stuff to say about this, which I think I hit on slightly. And I don't want to take too long because, you know, we're like God knows how long in, and I've only done, what, 3 videos? Anyway, really, really good video. Really hits the nail on the head of one of the many issues plaguing our society now, and I believe only going to get worse. But let's go next. Really nice video. Really nice looking guy here. Very, very spiffy. Like the suit. I appreciate the suit. Although I hate wearing it. I also used to wear a suit, but I appreciate it. Next.
I'm tired of having goals.
Whoa, me
I'm
too.
sick of improving personally and professionally.
Because to what end
Accomplishing
is it?
anything is massively overrated.
Big facts.
I'm exhausted of being held to any standard whatsoever.
Yep.
I'm at peace with never reaching full optimization. I'm ready to retire after accomplishing almost nothing and saving very little.
I
don't want to hit metrics or milestones.
Yeah,
I
fuck
don't want
those.
to look back at how far I've come.
Yeah, I cry when I
want to
look at that.
overcome adversity and emerge as a better person.
It's
The
impossible.
journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
I don't want to take it.
I don't want to take it.
Easy.
I want to aimlessly meander until I wander off a cliff.
Facts.
I want to lay down in the forest and be slowly consumed by vines.
Okay, I don't know
want to
about
murder my
that.
calendar and leap into a sinkhole. Learning and growing sucks.
That's true.
This is who I am. Any improvement is purely accidental. I'm being pulverized by the crushing weight of daily structure.
Me too.
Life is chaos, and so many things are outside of my control.
Yup.
No thing brings me happiness. It
Yeah.
only comes from within.
Uh-huh.
We're here on Earth to fart around. Don't let anybody tell you different.
Fact. And this is where, now that I've been fired, like I said in the beginning, I'm kind of having like a big mental crisis, as if this is something new. It's not. But I'm having a different mental crisis with a different reason. And that's, what am I gonna do? Right? I was so used to, and it took me a while to get used to this, and it's sad because I felt like my soul had been taken by Satan, right? I became a worker, and for a long time I was rejecting it. And then finally I got used to it, and I was like, okay, I'm used to it. I obviously don't like it, and my job, I can make a whole episode on that alone. They abused me, they made fun of me, they lied about me. It was terrible workplace. Terrible workplace for very little pay and overworking me with stuff that's not my job. But anyway, you know, fuck that fucked up my whole train of thought. Oh yeah. So basically, now that I'm out of that routine, now I'm out of working, right? I felt like I was a cog in the machine. I felt like I need to work, right? Even now I feel guilty for knowing I'm not going to work, and I'm having trouble enjoying it, or thinking I'm going to enjoy it for that fact, even though I really should enjoy it, because there was times when I was working, I was saying like, I'm going to need a break. Anytime I quit or I'm fired, which thankfully they fired me, because who knows when I was going to quit. And I was like, oh my God, like once I'm off, I need to make sure to not beat myself up for this. I deserve the break, because I was exhausted. But the way culture is in America, the way the working culture is, it's like, number one, you need to work because you can't survive. And number two, if you're not working, you're providing no value. And society, and especially for men this is harder too, you really provide nothing, and you're judged based on how much you provide as a man. And without that, you kind of just feel like nothing, useless, empty, and worthless. And it's like, damn, I don't feel good doing what I think I wanted to do, because it's not what I'm supposed to do. But what I'm supposed to do, as dictated by society, doesn't feel good either. So I don't like what I used to do because I'm not supposed to do it. But what I'm supposed to do is not giving me joy, because it's not really for me. It's for someone else, aka the rich. So I'm at a standstill. I'm trying to find my footing. I'm trying to find my place. But we're really not here. There's no goal to life. There's no goal to what to do, how to do it. You have to do this, you have to do that. And a lot of people are wandering through life, meandering through life, tumbling through life very, very badly. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way to do it. And a lot of us get mixed up with thinking, what's the way to do it? This is the way, that's the way. Society tells us, do this, work in a job. And for most of us, we're going to hate it. And we have to go mind them. And we're going to just be depressed until we retire with more now and now, less and less. And it's like, okay, well, is this really how things are? And no, it's not. I feel like we've been brainwashed, and we've been brainwashed successfully. And it's scary. But hopefully things can be better once the chains come off and I'm allowed free thought, even though that never went well in the past. But yeah, it's like, this guy's speaking my language, man. This guy's funny. Like Tom right here, he good. I like Tom. Anyway, let's go next.
Did you know that in certain parts of the world, parrots have become so addicted to opium that it ends up costing them their lives?
Oh my
in northern
God.
India, these birds are so addicted to opium that the farmers have reported taking massive losses in revenue due to these birds alone.
Why
these
are they
farmers who have
getting
special
opium?
permission to grow the plant for medicinal companies have tried
that's
everything
why.
under the sun.
Oh yeah, medicinal companies, fucking insurance companies.
And to stop these birds from eating their plants. And
They
it's
have a
not uncommon to
shotgun?
see a parrot fly away with an entire opium pod to himself.
Crazy.
Apparently, a single parrot will come down
Where
and
did
take a
they
bite of the
learn
opium
this?
milk 30 to 40 times a day. And the sad part
Bro.
is, since opium is a hard drug with very real consequences to health, the moment the parrots become addicted to it, they are as good as dead. Because as soon as the farmers harvest the plant, the birds are left with such horrible withdrawals that it ends up costing them their lives.
Look at them.
And parrots falling from trees and electrical lines becomes a common occurrence. But it doesn't stop there. In the following year, once the farmers plant the next batch of opium, the vicious cycle starts all over again.
Oh my God.
Like a never-ending nightmare.
And this is where, even though it's these dumb parrots, this happens with humans too. Like, this is crazy that it's happening to the fucking birds. But the main question is, right, because I'm thinking, like, is there human interference here? Is this because of us, right? Because Lord knows we're killing a lot of species as time goes on. We're extincting them too, right? Excuse me. Oh my God. But this is where, you know, this obviously isn't fully from us because there's opium just naturally in nature. So the parrots were going to do this. Now, granted, we probably made it easier because we're collecting it in one place and we're systematically growing it. But even in the wild, this probably happened too. This is where in the wild, the animals not only do some fucked up shit to nature, they do some fucked up shit to each other and other animals too. Sexually, fucking, like, psychologically, it's so fucked up. It's really bad. But this is where I'm pretty sure animals in the wild get high off shit too. I think dolphins get high off pufferfish too, if I'm not mistaken. So, while this isn't something new, humans are probably not helping this in really most ways anyway. So, yeah, birds are getting fucking drugged up too, just like the people in New York. Very cool.
11 days.
Whoa.
You heard me correctly. 11 working days. That's how much time the House and the Senate have to figure out a deal to avoid a government shutdown at the end of this month. And it's...
Excuse me. So, this came out in September, and obviously we're in November. So I'm just going to kind of skip this one. This one is 5 minutes anyway. And as much as I love Lisa here, I really like Lisa. She's very nice, very informative. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to paraphrase for her. Basically, the government had to figure out how to spend the budget, which is their job that they have to do every year, and they couldn't do it, so they extended it. And now they have to extend it again pretty soon, or else we default. And if we default, that's really bad. And because we're doing all this bullshit, getting close to default, our credit rating is getting degraded. It's getting lowered down a little bit. But anyway, this is absolutely amazing, and our government just can't even do their basic jobs that they know they have to do anyway, because everything has to be this side versus that side, not for the people, by the people, for the country. Let's help everyone. Let's stop fighting with each other. Let's stop being stupid and stroking our egos. But anyway, that's what it is. Let's keep going. And of course, if the government shuts down, it's not going to affect the fucking people voting on this shit. Excuse me. So, and this is the thing I say at work, right? The main way to get employees interested and invested in a company is, number one, have them believe the vision. But number two, if they don't believe the vision, have them have an active stake in the company. Either give them stock or give them a certain percentage of, you know, it doesn't have to be big if your company's making a lot, right? It could be small. But give them something to where, like, the success actually matters. Because if I'm working an hourly job, which I used to, and I'm not anymore, I'm unemployed. If you're working an hourly job, it doesn't matter how good or bad you do, as long as you're going to keep getting paid. This is where you're incentivized, again, unless you really like the job or really like the work or whatever, you're incentivized to do, you know, just as much as you can to not get fired, because you're going to get paid the same for good or bad work. Now, granted, in the long term, good work could maybe get a promotion, but as with my personal experience in my last job, that was not the case. In fact, it was the opposite. The more work you do, the reward for hard work is more hard work. And if you're for an evil company, they just want to keep giving you work and lowering costs. So that's great. But anyway, sorry, Lisa, you're amazing, but let's go next.
You haven't heard from me for a few weeks because we were out of session and there wasn't much to tell you, but we're back now.
Jeff
and
Jackson.
The news is that we are headed for a government shutdown and a presidential impeachment.
Nice.
The first thing that happened when we all got back last week was one of the leaders of the right flank gave a big speech on the floor of the House. It was a speech directed to the leader of his own party in the House, the Speaker. He basically said, hey, Mr. Speaker, if you pass a budget that our group doesn't like, we'll fire you.
And look, this is the proof. This is the proof that it's not what's right, it's my side versus your side. That's our government.
We've got the votes to end your speakership, and we will call a vote every single day until you're gone. But what he really meant was, look, we know you're going to pass a budget this year, and we're not going to like it. So you have to give us something we want, or we'll fire you.
Like, look at this stupid cat and mouse game that they're playing. Like, our government, not only is it corrupt and everyone knows it, and we just do nothing about it because insider trading's still a fucking thing. But they have to play this stupid fucking game, like, with each other, with their own people, with their own technically allies. Like, what?
The number one thing they want is a shutdown, because a shutdown comes with a ton of media attention.
Look, they want the government to shut down and people to suffer. Why?
For them, and as
they
I've
want
told
attention.
you, for a lot of them, media attention is the whole ballgame.
Yeah.
But what changed last
not helping the people, not running the fucking government, that's just secondary.
week was the right flank basically saying that a shutdown wouldn't be enough. They wanted something more. Impeachment.
This is
the Speaker
insane.
really didn't want to give them that.
This is crazy.
But he did. Technically, he just began the impeachment investigation, but if he doesn't go through with impeachment at the end of the investigation, the right flank would just threaten to fire him again, and he'll do it.
Fuck?
So basically, in exchange for being able to pass a budget at some point this year, the Speaker is trading his right flank a shutdown and an impeachment. The reason the Speaker doesn't want to do either of those things is he's worried they're going to hurt his party in the next election, and he wants to grow his majority. Right now, he only has a majority by 5 votes, which has made his life a living nightmare.
Nice.
Because it means he just gets taken hostage over and over again.
And this is where I question, why the fuck does anyone want this like seat in this time when his party isn't the majority? It's like, I mean, yeah, you know, you're gonna try and make it better. This is where, again, the people having egos is a good thing because they'll try and fight through adversity. But it's like, holy fucking moly, this sounds like fucking you're in a tank full of sharks and you're willingly getting in. No one's pushing you. You're going in yourself saying, oh, I could take him, I could do it, I could last a minute in here. Like, why? Why even test it? Why even try?
By his right flank. Meanwhile, his right flank knows that if he's successful in growing their majority, ironically, it just means less power for them, which is why they're fine forcing the Speaker to do things that could backfire in the next election. Having a narrow majority lets them remain the decisive faction.
This
and
is insane.
Forcing a shutdown for
it's like a game of
attention
chess.
Seems like a really weird strategy.
It is. It's
because you're not the target audience. The target is voters who get almost all of their news from certain cable news shows
that are fucking biased, and I know because I took media.
That's who this whole maneuver is built for. It's a sliver of politicians working with a sliver of media to reach a sliver of voters. And if you're not in that small group, then none of this makes any sense. So that's the latest, and I'll keep you posted.
Excuse me. As always, I love Jeff Jackson. He tells us the scoop. He's honest, and it's an easy to digest form. I fucking love this guy. Thank you, Jeff Jackson, for showing us how dark, as if we didn't know already, our government is. I spit on you. Let's go next.
It's a battle of the working class.
Oh, look at this guy.
The rich.
Yup. That is the battle that is going to be the main battle, right? We've had crusades, we've had, like, you know, race wars, we've had all this stuff. The main battle we need to be having, the rich versus the motherfucking poor. That is the battle that really fucking matters.
The haves versus the have-nots.
A lot of us have
the
nots.
billionaire class against everybody else.
Excuse me.
And again, in talking about that, this class warfare.
Yep.
People accuse us and say this is class warfare.
It fucking damn right should be, and it is.
There's been class warfare going on in this country for the last 40 years.
More than that.
The billionaire class has been taking everything.
Yep. As if they don't have enough already.
And leaving everybody else to fight for the scraps.
Yep.
And when I talk
it's
about
insane.
that, there's one more piece of scripture I like. It reminds me of in Matthew 19:23-24.
Oh shit, we're bringing in religion here.
Which states, "It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God."
My God.
Why is it easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God?
It's not for the fucking rich.
I have to believe that answer.
We got some place for them down under.
Is because in the kingdom of God,
and I ain't talking about
no
Australia.
one hoards all the wealth while everybody else suffers and starves.
Ridiculous. Maybe Earth is hell.
In the kingdom of God,
dark dimension
no
hell.
one puts themselves in a position of total domination over the entire community. In the kingdom of God, no one forces others to perform endless, back-breaking work.
Or mind-numbing.
Just to feed their families or put a roof over their heads.
A roof.
That world's not the kingdom of God, that world is hell.
Yo, that's what I just said. Holy
shit.
Living
paycheck to paycheck, straight to get by.
That's hell.
That's hell.
Wow. You know what's crazy too? This is one of the videos, and I actually remember this. I did not watch this fully, and I'm not bullshitting. Like, and I don't bullshit. Like, this is where I saw this. I saw the first 5 seconds. I said to myself, and I'm like, yo, this guy probably talking facts. And for you, those of you who don't know, this is the UAW president, Sean Fain, who's, you know, fighting for the automotive industry workers.
Between medicine and rent.
Which, not to spoil the surprise, but we have news about that in current day. Again, we're still in kind of September with all these, but in current day, in November, we definitely have some developments.
Hell. Working 7 days a week for 12 hours a day.
That's fucking
for
slavery.
Months on end is hell. Having your plant closed down and your family scattered across the country.
Billionaires are hell.
Is hell. Being made to work during a pandemic and not knowing if you might get sick and die.
Oh wow, that's a lot of people in my office.
To your family is hell.
Oh, that's definitely
and enough is enough.
Enough is fucking enough. Yes.
It's time to decide what kind of world we want to live.
It's time to duel.
And it's time to decide what we're willing to do to get it.
We have to do whatever we need
of the
to.
Working class against the rich.
I completely fucking agree.
The haves versus the have-nots.
Yep. Oh, we restarted. Fucking even notice. Holy shit. I was like entranced by what he was saying. But yeah, this is completely true. As you know, if you couldn't tell, I very much agree with this guy. And I do think this is the future. It's just going to be the poor versus the rich. And who knows if the poor are going to still be able to even fight back. But anyway, very nice video. Very nice man. I love his button. I don't want to strike, but I will. This is where it's like, bro, we just want fair stuff. We just want, like, to live, right? And by living, we mean by a standard. Not the standard of you give us food, water, and a fucking tarp above us, right? So we don't get hit by the rain. No, we need actual life and how we define it now. We need certain more things that we're not asking for a lot, too. Because these billionaires can definitely afford it. More than afford it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, again, I've talked about this already. I'm repeating 99% of what I said, but oh my god, it's so bad. Anyway, thank you, Sean Fain, for sticking up for the little man. Let's go next.
Ooh, we take in a credit card's worth of microplastics every single week.
Yay, yummy.
POTUS, who? A lot of WOTUS, or Water of the United States, is no longer under federal protection because of the Supreme Court. Yeah.
Thank you, Supreme Court.
The Star-Spangled Banner was considered too racist to be the national anthem for 117 years. And the fact that it is considered one of the very few victories by the Confederacy. Ooh.
Wait, why is it racist?
The United States can't find an $80 million fighter jet after its pilot got ejected, but at least that means our stealth technology is really good. Pew, pew.
See, I actually heard about that. That shit's crazy.
Ooh, modern day policing is heavily derived from the practices of slave patrols in the 1700s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there is no longer a dress code enforced on the Senate floor, and we should no longer have a dress code in public schools either.
Or work.
Ooh, yeah, did you know that Lenin had a webbed foot? Using fines as a punishment just means you can break the law if you're rich.
Yeah, that's that's actually crazy. That's exactly what that means.
The 13th Amendment says that slavery is illegal unless you're in prison. Yeah.
Crazy.
The Kingdom of Hawaii was overthrown by the U.S. government, whose military is now poisoning the water with jet fuel. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. I didn't know that last one. But yeah, we've seen this girl before. Her name is Kaisa, which is ironically a person from League of Legends. But you know, Kaisa's cool. I really like the news she says. The way she says is kind of it hurts me a little bit inside, but I really like it. And I do have to apologize for subjecting people to it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but you know, this is my series. I do what I want. But yeah, very nice news, very depressing news. Really nice. Again, I don't know how true it is, but we have to assume stuff is mostly true here, or else we wouldn't get anywhere. But very nice. A little cringe, but very nice, and I like it. Oh, this is so true. This is me. Yo, Mitch looks fucking shook. This is so funny, and you know, I put this in here for comedy's sake, but I don't want to say too much. I don't want to go on a tangent about this, but you know, everyone knows what this is. It's just ridiculous, our government with these dinos. But let's keep going.
We're going to teach y'all how to make friends using...
Hey, so this is Dr. K. This is the guy who, you know, kind of does a lot of stuff with gaming, right? He helps gamers a lot because, God, do we have a lot of mental problems. But I really like Dr. K, and at first I thought he was an asshole, and I thought the same thing about Asmongold, and I think they're both highly intelligent, and I really like them now. But yeah, definitely did not start off on the right foot with what I saw from him. Excuse me. Anyway, let's keep going.
Using 2 rules in under 2 minutes. So friendship requires 2 basic things.
And this is actually, I kind of remember this one because this is kind of what I always said subconsciously. It's just I never put into such good words like this.
First thing it requires is common cause.
Yep.
So people have to be there.
And obviously this has to do right now with common, you know, chronic or pandemic level, or not pandemic, epidemic levels of loneliness. Because like I said, we're more connected than ever, but more isolated than ever too.
For a shared purpose. This is the first way that human beings bind together.
Yeah, and it has to be a shared purpose that, in my opinion, like, you know, you both have to either be forced into or you both have to want to do. It's a shared purpose that you both choose to kind of go for. Like, oh, let's just say I'm working out. I want to lift this big rock. I can't lift it alone. Oh, this other guy wants to lift this big rock. Okay, we have this common purpose we both want. Let's lift the rock, and we become friends while lifting it. Okay, cool. The other opposite side is, oh, let's just say we're forced into slavery. We're both slaves. Oh, well, now we could be friends because we're both slaves. We don't want to be slaves, but we're here together anyway.
The second thing that they need is regular, unplanned interactions.
There you
go.
go.
You need to see this person more than once.
And I don't fully agree with this. I feel like this is how it used to work, but I feel like a lot of stuff is planned, especially now, where some people are fighting back against the loneliness. They're doing stuff themselves, but this is where now it's not too crazy to me to think like, oh, you know, I met this person, I think they're cool, let's plan stuff, and when they plan stuff, they become better friends. And I think that happens. It doesn't happen often, but I think stuff does happen that's planned. Maybe the initial meeting is unplanned, but it can't be continuous unplanned stuff, or it doesn't have to. It can be, but it doesn't have to be continuous unplanned stuff.
Without the two y'all making a plan to see each other. This is why we make friends in places like classes. Because we show up, we've got to study for the same test, and we have to see each other day after day after day after day without either of us forcing it. The problem that we run into nowadays is that we try to force interactions with people, so it feels like way too artificial and pressured. And the second thing is that you can't like randomly meet people and make friends with them because you have no common cause.
Exactly.
So if you want to make friends, what you need to do is check these 2 boxes.
Oh, God.
We're going to teach y'all how to make friends using 2 rules in under 2 minutes. So friendship requires 2 basic things.
Oh, damn, the video looped. Holy shit. So yeah, I don't fully agree with these points, but this was more to just related to, just, you know, how it's hard to become friends even with these 2 things I don't fully agree with, but they are there. They do make sense. Where it's like, again, people now can almost do anything from home. You could buy anything off Amazon, and I heard Amazon is now offering, or gonna offer healthcare, which is fucking insane. And if it's for Prime members, then we eating good. But, you know, this shit is fucking insane, where it's like, nowadays we can get everything. We don't need to go out and everything's delivered to our house, and pandemic just made that shit fucking worse. So the way society is going, it's leading to more isolation, despite being so connected. So the old way to make friends, I don't think isn't too applicable anymore. Anyway, let's keep going.
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
How old US politicians are in the United States is actually insane. We'll start with the big dog.
And I love this guy, but yeah, that clip was famous at the time. I'm a little late to the party, obviously, but like, this is so good, and this guy's going to explain it probably very well.
President himself, Joe Biden. Joe Biden was born in 1942, which makes him 80 years old. And
Crazy.
when Biden was born in 1942...
My grandparents are 90-something. They're older than this loser, and they look better than him.
President Lincoln had died just 77 years before, meaning in 2023, Joe Biden's birthday is closer to Lincoln's presidency than it is to Biden's own presidency.
Okay, but that's by a couple years, and like, you know, what's the point of saying that?
But he's not the only ancient dude or dudette trying to run this country. Trump is only 3 years younger at 77 years old. And Dianne Feinstein...
And this is where I have to say something about the current political race. So Trump, you know, Biden's probably going to run again and stuff, but this is where the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the runners, is so young, and he's not even young. He's like, you know, maybe I think late 30s, early 40s, probably early 40s. The fact that this guy's so young and is going against these dinos, I'm very happy for. We need more, and young blood could be good or be bad, but overall, comparatively to what we have now, I think young is way better.
Feinstein was born in 1933.
Oh, that God. I believe this lady passed away too recently, actually.
90 years ago. When she was born, 90 years ago, if you go 90 years in the other direction, you land in 1843. Wow. And that's when the first wagon train set out from Missouri to Oregon. You know, the whole Oregon Trail thing, that's when that was
the Oregon
with
Trail.
The pioneers and the covered wagons. And let's not forget Mitch McConnell, my personal favorite, not because I like him, but because he looks like this dog in this meme that circulated a few weeks ago. Mitch McConnell was born in 1942. That's 2 years before American troops landed in Normandy. The whole premise of the movie Saving Private Ryan and the series Band of Brothers. He predates that by 2 years. And I'm not trying to be ageist or anything, but I just think it's worth pointing out in 2023 when things keep going from bad to worse in the United States, whether it's Republicans in office or Democrats.
Or it's both of them because they're just fighting each other.
I just wanted to point out that it's worth noting that some of civilization's biggest contributions haven't been made by old dudes trying to cling to power.
No
They're
way.
always contributions made by young innovators.
Whoa.
Not old power brokers. Here are just a few examples. Sir Isaac Newton, who actually his grandfather is my great-great-grandfather 8 times removed or something like that.
What?
Direct family line. Sir Isaac Newton developed the theory of gravity at age 23. Alexander the Great had built one of the largest empires in history by age 30. Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech at the age of 34. And speaking of him, he was born in 1929, just 4 years before Dianne Feinstein, the oldest senator in the United States. John Hancock was 39 when he signed his giant signature on the Declaration of Independence. George Washington was 45 years young when he took his troops through Valley
that's
Forge.
not too young.
And Jimi
That's
Hendrix
middle.
was only 26 when he performed at Woodstock. Now, I'm not saying you have to be young in order
I'm
to
almost
innovate
26.
and contribute to civilization and society, but I do think it's kind of weird that young people are almost intentionally kept out of Congress and kept out of government.
And this is the crazy part too, right? I think that for a time in the past, young people were innovators because it was a way to chase wealth. Now young people are innovators because they literally need to be to survive or to make it out of the rat trap.
All while the government is clearly completely out of touch with what's happening with regular people who are in
because
their
they're
prime
so old.
earning and living years between 20 and 50. And
Earning and living, more like fucking getting into debt and trying to pay it off years.
Nobody in that age range has any kind of real political power in Washington. Now, there are some people in Washington who are achieving some great things at an older age. Nancy Pelosi, for example, is always developing new skills. Recently, one of her new skills has been the ability to trade at a higher level of proficiency than Warren Buffett and the top hedge fund managers in the world.
The guy who does stocks for a living and is like the guru of stocks, yes, she outperforms him because she works for the government.
So that is proof that at an older age you can acquire new skills and really crush it at something.
Crush it with the corruption.
To me, in the United States, we need more young people in places of power to replace the people that are just clearly not lucid enough to do anything right. Do you agree, or do you think this is just a loser take? So come on, let me know in the comments.
Definitely not a loser take. I mean, obviously it depends who you ask, but definitely not a loser take. Anyway, really nice video. Let's go next.
We can all agree that this is not okay, no matter what.
Oh, and this is the actual clip of Biden. This is hilarious.
Staff cut off his mic to end his nonsensical speech.
Nonsense.
An international press conference.
Yes.
The Southern Hemisphere had access to change it. Had access.
Southern Hemisphere.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everybody.
This is after
he has no clue what's happening.
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
I don't want to seem like I'm picking on Biden here, but a world leader having to have his own people cut his mic off in an
doesn't shit himself.
setting is not a
good he fell.
Biden as president is a representation of
Stupid,
America.
yeah.
How are
He looks
our
like a
allies
clown.
perceiving us if our
He looks like such an old man
like
now.
this? FDR pretended not to be paralyzed.
Look at this
during
guy. I
World War
love
II to
FDR.
project strength. Reagan did something similar when he met with the USSR leader Gorbachev and didn't even wear a coat during the freezing winters of Switzerland. Now
crazy.
We have a president who needs his own staff to tell him when to stop talking, and it's not just the Democrats.
Oh yeah, look the famous
Republican
clip.
Senate leader
He's rebooting, guys. Don't worry.
He froze up twice for 30 seconds while speaking to reporters. Politicians on both sides of the aisle need to have age limits or health checks or something. This is not a good look for America. We can all agree that this is not.
Anyway. Yeah, one thing I just wanted to point out with this video, because I actually remembered that the end reminded me of why I sent this to myself, the initial thought I had about this. And it's just that in the past, America cared so much about looks, right? We cared so much about outward appearance, and, you know, whether that's good or not is a different story. But at least when we cared about it, we portrayed ourselves as strong, right? FDR was literally crippled, and he's like, oh, I can't tell people or I can't show the world I'm crippled because it might make America look weak. This is where back then, the priorities were so different. They were for America, right? It's not this bullshit anymore of like, oh, I'm serving myself or my party. No, I'm serving America. We gotta make America good. This is where things have just shifted. It's like America's looked at like a fucking laughing stock, I feel, because I think we are. I look at us and I laugh. I'm like, this is ridiculously bad. But yeah, our government's ridiculous. Let's go next.
What did Warren Buffett say? He said, I can fix.
Oh, this is my favorite video. This is my favorite video right here. Warren Buffett, we just talked about him too. Amazing. But I actually think I'm gonna leave the video here. I think we're gonna cut it off here. So we're about to hit the hour mark soon. I know most of this video was talking, we didn't get through much, but even though I'm gonna have a lot of time soon because of the unemployment, I'm still trying to figure out my path and stop my mind from eating itself alive. So I don't want to get too crazy, and I do have other stuff to do, and it's pretty late, and I'm starting to get sleepy because my schedule still isn't used to this. Or maybe this series just makes me sleepy now, who knows. I'm tired. Whenever I see depressing things, I get tired. But anyway, this is going to be it for the episode. I hope everyone enjoyed. It really is Dark Dimension out here. I hope it convinced you. And I stream live, usually, not always, but usually, at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel. So I hope to see you there. So, that's it. Hope you enjoyed.